Alright, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the rabbit hole section of the Lighthouse report. In this month's utility deep dive, we took a look into some networks building in this space of blockchain and DLT that aren't quite so focused on things around payments, finance, settlements, and that category of things. Because that's really what the majority of projects building in this space are still mostly focused on. Because the whole idea of Bitcoin and eventually what led to crypto has been because of the great financial collapse in 2008. So it kind of makes sense that there's so many of these projects in this space that are so focused on building upon a better global financial system, whether it be through things like asset tokenization to allow for things like atomic settlement of assets, or just more efficient payment railways. And of course, those aspects would make the world of finance infinitely more efficient, but the use cases of blockchain and DLT just range so much further beyond the world of finance. And we've highlighted a couple of these within Constellation's ecosystem, but let's take a little further of a look. So we discussed Alchemy, the advertising exchange, making it so that their industry will be a lot less of kind of shoving irrelevant ads in people's faces and more of a self-sustaining ecosystem where people can be rewarded for seeing ads that would actually appeal to them, along with giving the people publishing and paying for these ads much more data and insights to work with, and cutting a ton of unneeded costs out of the advertising industry today because there are a lot of middlemen within this specific sector. There was also CyberLead that we mentioned, in which they're trying to create a more trusted environment for gaming, whether it be just for regular people wanting to relax and play some games, or all the way up to the professional esports level that's been growing so rapidly over the past few years. Cheating pretty much ruins any competitive online game, and it's even worse when there's money and pride on the line. And the problem with cheating in gaming nowadays is that at times some of these scripts and codes have become so hard to notice from the other player's perspective that it can be hard to tell who's actually cheating versus if they're actually just that good. And so already these two projects in Constellation's ecosystem are showing some super unique use cases outside of just finance, because at the end of the day, all that gets stored on a blockchain is raw data. So the possibilities really are endless, with so much of everything we do becoming data nowadays, whether it be stuff on supply chains, entertainment, healthcare, education, or whatever. So now let's take a brief look into a few other projects that are building beyond finance. So just looking a little further into the Constellation ecosystem, they also have this one tangible product that they call the door traffic miner, or DTM for short. And pretty much you just hang it over any door frame and it uses IoT and heat sensors to detect for foot traffic. And so this data in aggregate is actually really valuable when you bring it to the right hands. So let's say you hang it up over a commercial gym to see what hours that specific gym might be the most packed and would probably be the worst time for other gym members to go there. Or maybe you could hang it up over a school so that they could find the best time for the janitors to do their work when the least amount of students are around. There's a bunch of possibilities to get creative with a door traffic miner. And so the Constellation team has allocated a pool of DAG tokens to DTM owners for providing their data, which just further plays into their concept of a truly self-sustaining ecosystem off of generative economics in their hypergraph. And the idea of the door traffic miner I find is pretty cool because you can really get creative with this and hang it up in some really strange places. If you wanted, you could hang it up in a public washroom or hang them all around door frames in your house. I personally think these real world tangible products are going to be one of the key gateways to mainstream adoption once people kind of wrap their heads more around it, because a lot of people at this point have a very borderline understanding of what blockchain can do, but it can be really hard to truly understand these things when everything's really just an invisible network. And we also discussed a bit on Project Starling on Hedera Hashgraph and their work to try and bring and protect the most reliable and trusted information while utilizing two other applications, being Hyperledger Fabric and IPFS for things like storage and metadata hashes. And again, this is another massive use case that can be unlocked by blockchain thanks to its immutable nature. With so much of mainstream media and news sources nowadays being owned by some of the biggest corporations in the world, it's no secret that a lot of things that probably should potentially be titled under breaking news just kind of gets swept under the rug. Project Starling has the potential to truly democratize information and really bring truth to so many mysteries and things that are kind of forgotten in the world. Now, before I let you guys continue on with the rest of the report, I wanted to highlight one other project that's really been moving differently from the rest of the space in terms of what they're developing and the goals that they have, and that's Vector Space Biosciences. And so this project is actually a spin-off from Lawrence Berkeley National Labs, which is one of the most prestigious research and development centers in the world. So seeing that level of academic backing is pretty massive for a crypto startup. So what they do is provide smart real-time datasets as a service powered by natural language processing and natural language understanding. And what this is able to do is have these datasets detect correlations between any compounds or proteins. Simply put, it allows for things like testing the relations and effects the compounds that make up a human body might react towards a certain medicine that's in its early testing phases. But beyond that, they're now doing tons of work around the concept of space biosciences with members from NASA, Microsoft Azure, HP, and some of the largest academias in London. And their advisory board is made of people who work directly with the US Department of Energy, NASA, the US Navy and Space Warfare, and much more along those lines. So we're seeing a lot from them that's not quite geared towards finance, but rather the overall concepts of sciences, which really hasn't been a point of focus of blockchain and DLT use cases. But if we really think about it, there's a lot that can be disrupted by this technology, especially with things like genetic sciences that's coming closer and closer towards becoming a reality. And I know the whole concept of this month's rabbit hole is supposed to be about projects using blockchain that aren't based around the topics of finance, but they've also drawn some interest and pretty unique use cases from the world of finance too. So back in May of this year, they had presented at the Morningstar Showcase where they basically broke down how if they could detect relations between two drug compounds, they could easily do the same with detecting relations between two asset prices.
So first off, what we do as a company to most people is like science fiction. You might also be asking yourself, well, what in the world is a space biosciences company doing presenting at a Morningstar investment conference? Or what is space biosciences? One of the best ways to understand what space biosciences is to go to NASA Space Biosciences. This is a division at NASA that specializes in protecting and repairing the human body during spaceflight. What we're trying to get at here is innovations in space biosciences result in products and services for all industries, especially the financial markets, especially when you mix a little Morningstar data in there as well. Our collaborators include Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, UCSF, UC Berkeley, the Center for Regenerative Medicine, City of Hope. We've also got the Allen Institute of AI. And our focus overall is the brain ECM, aging, and mitochondrial stress. I'm mentioning these things because if a scientist can find a hidden relationship between two proteins, or a protein and a drug compound, of course, a financial expert can find a hidden relationship between public companies and a global event or a theme. For example, earthquake in Taiwan. In the context of GPUs, you might want to know what semiconductors to short. You might want to know what cryptos to short because you've got GPUs. So what we're offering today is the ability to protect your portfolio. And then we offer real-time data sets with on-chain data provenance. If a correlation value changes in your data set, someone can lose their life or $1 billion. That's why you want your data set secure. The best way to secure it is on-chain. So we provide that, and in conclusion, we also understand one thing, that if you can protect the body in the harshest environment ever in space, surely you can protect it on Earth with personalized medicine. So when you look at the applications that come from space biosciences, they extend to all industries. So if you stop by our booth and register, you will have the chance of receiving a free ticket to space because we're going to hold a contest. But we have to be able to attach biosensors to you so that we can generate data sets to know how better to protect the human body during spaceflight.
On top of that, they also showcase their real-time thematic baskets that they offer. And so if you came to the world of crypto through originating from legacy markets, then you can think of these baskets like their ETFs, which is basically a mixture of assets bundled up into one. So let's say maybe you have 3 stocks in there and then 2 mutual funds or something like that. But thanks to the usage of natural language understanding and processing, they're actually able to generate these datasets based on real time events. So let's say there's news and a lot of sentiment of worries around a shortage of energy. Well, their algorithms would detect that and they would build a basket in the most suitable way so that you could profit from them. So likely that basket would probably be filled with a lot of energy and semiconductor focused assets and commodities. So just by looking at these projects we've seen that the use cases of blockchain and DLT are really evolving right in front of our eyes. Just a few years ago, it was all about DeFi, privacy tokens, more efficient blockchains for payments, alternative currencies, etc. And most recently, we've seen lots of talks about the metaverse and NFTs. But these projects are really showing us real industry use cases that can be applied and create so much more value added and efficiency within our global economy. Whether it be something as simple as like cutting down costs and speeding up or automating procedures within, say, things like logistics, all the way to expanding a specific sector's operations and finding real innovative use cases that give customers a new paradigm of interacting with these businesses. But that's about all we have for this month's deep dive into the rabbit hole. Hopefully, everyone was able to further understand how much is going on behind the scenes beyond just blockchain for banking, because this technology will very likely eventually be integrated into every sector of the economy in one way or another. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your time going through this month's report and getting all caught up with everything happening in this space. So until next time, everyone, stay safe and keep learning. Peace.